It was through the Navy Yard.
Where do
That's
your
right.
kids go?
It's a smorgasbord. It's a spreadsheet situation.
What's your-
Different camps.
Also that like a gifted intel camp for the school district this week. Harrison's at James Island County Parks and North Charleston to James Island.
Oh, yeah. That's
I remember that.
too. Yeah, because.
Yeah, which my mom's in town, she's helping, so she can't warn us at the same time, so we're happy. It's just a mess.
Yeah, and because we're used to live downtown, we both work downtown, school downtown, but now we gotta drive her to West Ashley or Mount Pleasant in the morning. So it's like, we're sitting in traffic, even though we live 2 blocks from our jobs. It's like.
Rachel, you want to take a second? Really don't mind.
We're gonna get started, that's okay, it's 4:30.
Yeah.
All right, good afternoon and welcome to the June 17th, 2024 meeting of the City of Charleston Design Review Board. My name is Erica Chase, the board's chairperson. Members of the board with us tonight are Stephanie Tillerson, Aaron Stevens, Andy Smith, Lucas Boyd, and Ben Whitener. And members of city staff with us are David Meeks, maybe Patrick joining us or no?
I thought it was.
Okay. We do not have any agenda items that have been deferred from today's meeting, and we do not have, we had one public comment submitted. Okay, we have one public comment submitted. The order of the meeting will be as follows. David will give an introduction and project overview, and then you'll have 10 minutes to make your project presentation. If you think you need time beyond 10 minutes, please let us know at the start of your presentation. We will then open it up for board questions. We have no public here, but if someone joins, we'll have public comment period after that. David will then give staff recommendations, and then you may clarify or respond to any of the staff recommendations or public comments. We will then go into board discussion, motion, and voting. And then during board discussion, you may not speak unless it's to clarify anything inaccurately being stated or if there's a question from a board member. I'll skip over public comments because there's no one here. And we will get started with agenda item number 718 Wapu Road, requesting demolition of some architectural details of the building entrances, the entry stairs, shutters, and windowsills of a building over 50 years of age.
Thank you. I just have a few context slides to direct your attention to the screen, show where this project is. It's a 718 Wapu Road. Closer view just north of Savannah Highway. Closer view yet, just a little bit north of the St. Andrew's Presbyterian Church. And it's this structure right here. Closer view right across the street from the high school as well, or is this a middle school now? And image of the existing structure. It was built in 1955, but it is has been a commercial building for quite some time. Just a better view of the building. And with that, I'll turn it over to the applicant. Let me know when you'd like me to advance the slides.
Sure. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. No, it's not really a large crowd. First, obviously,
Could you state your name for the record,
sure.
please?
Chris Bonner with B Studio Architecture. We're looking to, first submittal is basically about some of the demolition items we're looking to remove from the existing structure. We are looking to mostly take away some elements that aren't quite necessarily in line with this entire architectural field. There's 3 main elements are the front portico and steps, as well as we'll go to the next slide, sorry. That probably helps, yeah. The front portico area around the front door. To the right-hand side, between what could be considered a garage and the front, there's a little kind of side door area. And then the garage doors themselves that aren't doors, there's kind of, built-in flat slabs, removing those as well. Go to the next slide. Like looking at kind of the existing structure, we understand that the city is hoping that most of these properties in this area maintain a certain level of residential feel. This particular one doesn't have a strong kind of specific design language. The windows tend to are oriented wider than they are tall, and have newer vinyl style windows. They have small kind of vinyl shutters kind of glued onto the building. And then inevitably they have this kind of portico thing in the middle, in the front door. While the majority of the house almost has kind of a mid-century kind of proportions to it, with wide windows. The portico itself has this kind of Federalist Georgian kind of look to it. It is built not particularly of high quality. It's also very low, and so the support for that particular portico is actually below the head height of the door. So 6'8" door, and this portico is below it, so it's a very low portico. It's also very shallow. It's less than 5 feet before you get to the steps, which are made out of brick. And the brick steps themselves are not even. So there's a 4-foot step, an 8-inch step, an 8-inch step, another 4-foot step, which is obviously not only against code, but just generally dangerous to be stepping out to uneven steps. The majority of this project kind of is focused around code compliance, bringing it up to ADA quality. It is a physical business. Obviously, there are employees that need access as well. And currently, the door isn't wide enough. The steps don't work at all. Nor is there enough room to add a ramp to it because the portico itself is too low. You wouldn't be able to access the portico from the right-hand side. So there are a lot of just generally code compliance issues to bring up this project, to the way things are used now. Thankfully, it is pulled pretty far back away from the street. So the removal of these items, I don't think drastically changed the character of the building. It's not, like I mentioned before, it doesn't have a very strong and specific design language that says, this is not a Federalist house wrapped in brick. It is kind of this kind of stuccoed white box with wider windows, and this kind of very small, undersized portico near the front door. Same with the right-hand side. Go to the next slide. Oh, never
I
mind.
think that was it.
On the right-hand side, there is, if you zoom in at, the bottom of the picture, there is kind of a pokiness to the door. So to get to that second door, you actually walk up steps into the door, right? And then you go, once you get inside.
Did you say bottom right?
Left-hand side, sorry. Sure. You can kind of see it next to the garage doors. You essentially go up, you kind of go up into a couple steps, and then you go back down into a couple steps. From this aerial, you can see that there's actually a decent amount of commercial space back there. It's kind of 1-story space of offices. And so there is really no good entrance into that space either. You kind of have to walk up and then walk back down. So there's a number of just kind of code compliance issues that we're hoping to address with the addition of some items to the front of the building in the next proposal. This one's mostly about demolition to those specific items. We did have a general in-office confusion. We're not taking out any of the window sills. We're not removing any of the windows themselves either. So it's really just the portico and the brick steps that are obviously kind of not compliant and old and rough shape, as well as the side kind of entrance kind of addition. And the vinyl shutters that are glued on.
Any questions?
I have a couple questions. You're saying a lot about code and that the portico is not 6'8". I mean, I can't tell, I guess. So this is 6'8" door?
Correct.
You're saying from the sides, it's less than 6'8", is that
Yeah,
right?
so the supports for the portico themselves are actually below the head height. And currently there's a light there that you bang. I mean, I don't bang my head, short, but a taller person would hit their head actually walking. It's oddly
Dangling
proportioned.
from the porch.
Correct, yeah. So it's an I would say that is an under kind of scaled portico, even for that size house.
Do we know if that's been there since 1955, or is there pictures that show it coming in later, or what?
Generally unable to find images of the older house. It's
Yeah.
been there for a decent amount of time.
I was curious to know that everything is the original construction, like especially kind of that garage component on the right.
Yes, it is. We did have one of the preservation center office research that, and the garage, the breezeway between the main house and the garage are all original 1950.
Thanks.
What was the code reason you said you couldn't reuse the step? Because it looks like it's
They're
Looks
actually
like
not
pretty
needed.
wide.
So the first step's like 4 inches, the next couple steps.
Oh, I'm sorry, let me clarify my question. I understand about the stairs, so
Yeah, gotcha.
the stairs could potentially be rebuilt to be 777 or whatever they need to do, but. Your ramp, you said the handicap ramp wouldn't have enough space on the.
Yeah, so generally speaking, the way that the depth of the stairs from the top of the stairs to the door is less than 5 feet. So there's not actually clearance once you step outside the door to have like a landing for the ramp. So it's physically.
If you
compressed.
come in through the side.
Correct. Or you were to step out of the front door, obviously you tend to be 5 feet outside that front door kind of clearance. There's only about 4 feet from the front door to the steps. And obviously there's a step up to the front door too. So there's, like a lot of residences, that landing is actually another 4 inches below the threshold of the door too.
Okay.
And obviously, as you can tell, the brick for the front steps doesn't really match the brick of the chimney as well. Like they're kind of different colors, which, like I said, this particular property doesn't have a lot of the kind of historic lore and consistency. It's kind of a mashup of random stuff.
I do want to bring up, I got a message from BD, the city architect, who's listening to the meeting. She did bring up that when it comes to BAR preservation issues, that they can't consider code as a reason for removing.
Yeah, I was gonna ask too, which I guess that's irrelevant, but I'm gonna ask anyways. Are you bringing the entire renovation up to code, like of all of the interior finishes, elevators, all of that? Or is it just certain items you want to bring up to code?
The focus of this project is the exterior. So allow individuals to get into the building. So when we, obviously the next phase of the pictures you'll see are like the exterior work.
Yeah, sure.
Getting people into the building. Both spaces that are commercial is the cost of it. We haven't gone inside completely to read it as well. But anyway, the interior has been used as commercial space though.
And is that narrow entry between the garage and the main structure, is that the only way to access the rear? Or are there other doors? in the
There
rear
is
too?
another back door that goes to like a yard space where there's kind of like storage buildings. But there's no other way from the front of the building or from the side of the building to get to it.
And I'm a little confused in terms of the request. The request is for the side, breezeway, the entrance, I guess, and then the portico and then the steps,
Correct, so the steps and portico in the front,
right?
the breezeway entrance on the side, and there's a door there, there's a weird little roof to it. We're not like
But-
ripping it all off.
But
And
how are, because we were doing that, we were talking about, how are people accessing it now that's ADA?
It's not.
Oh, okay, so you have to come out, they have to bring a bell, they have to come out to put it down, the ramp.
Correct.
Okay, I was just confused about this photo, okay.
Or like I said, the particular owner has recently purchased the property, so we can't talk about, I have no idea about the ownership.
Got it, got it,
They
Okay.
clearly that never kind of crossed their mind,
okay,
so yeah.
I got it.
Any other questions?
I kind of have a question for David. You said that was BR and, Eric, I guess too, you said that was BAR precedence.
I can't confirm with DRB. I was hesitant. to
Yeah, I
bring it
mean,
up.
I can't think of any time we've ever discussed. that.
Yeah, agreed. I don't think it's been a consideration in my 12 years.
What's that code? Just bring it up to code.
Yeah, bringing things up to code. Yeah, normally we're dealing with new buildings that
Or demos, yeah,
Yeah.
it's, yeah.
are complete demos, not I mean, I don't know that it's necessarily here or there.
I mean, there are ways around it without.
Well, let's save the discussion for discussion.
Yeah, I'm
I
just
thought
trying,
too, Andy, yeah.
I just was trying to understand our precedent.
Yeah.
And I'm really having a hard time because we're supposed to take this particular application without considering the renovation
Correct.
piece.
Yes.
Because it's almost like in order for me to understand this, I need to understand the
Yeah.
renovation piece. In order for me to really make a decision on this, it's like I can't
Right.
really make two separate decisions.
And I
That's
understand like
still-
separating
Right.
demolition from like.
Yeah, let's
construction,
save
but-
discussion for discussion. Let's finish up questions. Do we have any more questions?
Yeah, can we just
Yeah.
quickly, very succinctly clarify?
what the scope is, particularly on the hyphen, because I get.
Yeah, it's not clear, agreed.
I get the
There's
front.
sorry. I will say there's this little weird roof here.
Mhm.
There's a door.
So the hyphen remains,
The hyphen remains with getting rid of this weird roof and the door.
and the weird roof extends
Says
perpendicular
about-
to the gable that extends from the gable of the hyphen.
Yeah,
I'll
about-
go back
about
And that whole thing gets
Yeah,
taken
the
back.
pictures
Let
aren't
me
clear. I
go
mean, I
back.
guess they're street view screenshots
They're
versus
good
actual
aerial.
pictures.
Yeah,
It's hard
Yeah.
to zoom in.
So that dormer roof is gone.
The dormer roof is gone.
But the roof that it ties into.
That stays. And there's presumably a landing stair there underneath that dormer roof that goes, right? And then the windows stay. All the windows stay, the shutters go.
Correct.
The front portico goes, the front porch goes. And then the garage, well, not garage doors, but whatever.
Whatever is holding that, yes,
Okay.
Those don't function now, right? They're just panels.
Well,
Panels,
they're
yeah.
framed in plywoody stuff, color painted, yeah.
so we have 5 things.
Any other questions? All right, the public comment letter that we received was from, can't read the name, but from the church, 2 doors down, which St. Andrew's Presbyterian Church. Saying they reviewed the documentation above and requested renovation submitted to the city. I guess this would be for the next one if it happens, the next, so,
Well, I was seeing it as kind of support for both because one can't happen without the
yeah.
other.
There's letter for support of the second agenda item, so if you want to infer that there is support for the first. Oh, you will. Okay, so with that, no more public comments. David, staff comments, please.
Thank you. Staff conducted research to determine that the structure that was built as a residential property was built in 1955. Both the main house, the breezeway and garages are original to the structure. The breezeway was closed down at some point. In the ordinance that discusses demolition in the purview of the design review board, it states that the board should consider the architectural and aesthetic features of the structure, the nature and quality of the structure, including its architectural fabric, any historic significance, the nature and quality of the surrounding area, and the structure's contribution to the overall streetscape of the area. Furthermore, this property is in the Duwop overlay. And within this Duwop overlay, under section 54.229, letter F, it does state when it talks about building appearance that along Wapu Road, in cases where existing buildings that are residential in nature are converted to non-residential uses, the residential character, referring to the height, scale, material entrances, and windows, roof pitch, should be all presented to the street frontage. I do include the rest of the Duwop overlay in here for reference, but I'm going to skip over reading the entire thing. And we'll pass this on to the applicant. The staff comment number 1. Some specific elements of the building that staff feels is removing the residential fabric and opposed to its demolition are the front portico, the windows around the door, windowsills, we understand are no longer being asked to be demoed, and then the front stoop. Staff comment number 2, the improperly fitted faux shutters, staff is okay with removing. And number 3, the front door and handrail will probably add it at a later date, so staff is fine with removing those as well. But we do recommend partial denial of the demo request.
Thanks, David. Do you have anything you want to respond or clarify to?
No, I would generally say that I think part of the depot kind of understanding of the city, is about keeping architectural character. And the quality of that particular place or building. This particular house doesn't have, those strong characters. It's not, particularly nice Federalist home with a nice little Georgian portico that matches. It's not necessarily one of the kind of one-story Edwardian or other kind of homes that are in the neighborhood that have a more cohesive design that has, this is a wonderful example of that particular house style from that particular age. This one really seems like a amalgamation of different styles, not necessarily from the 50s, but more of, I don't know, Simpsons McMansion kind of thing. It's just, it just seems like it didn't, the character of the elements we're asking to remove are not a particularly high quality. And necessarily haven't aged well in a manner that screams that they're supremely worthy of preservation. That's my response.
Okay, thank you. We are now in board discussion.
Can I ask David, can I ask you a question about your recommendations, just so I understand? I know we clarified that they're not asking to remove the windows and windowsills. And I see where you mentioned the front portico and the brick stoop in comment 1. And then the shutters comment 2, door and handrail. And then 2, are y'all not making any recommendation on the other
Right.
entrance?
Decide,
Yeah,
actually left that out.
I don't see that anywhere in your comments. I just want to make sure I understand all these parts.
So I should have said we're okay with that. You're right.
You're okay with that?
You're okay with removing that side entrance? Okay.
It's only the front portico and the front stoop that we felt was removing the residential character.
To me, on the code compliance, and I've been kind of thinking through this one, I think to cherry pick certain things for code compliance, but not all of them, I have a hard time with using that as a like true reason. I think it should be more focused on if we think there's architectural significance or not.
Yeah, I would agree.
But that's just my opinion. I mean, certainly.
Yeah, I think that it's the way we should look at it, especially seeing as that we have this doo-wop, something specific in the ordinance that we're supposed to be using. I mean, that said, I'm relatively ambivalent about it. As you say, this is not, just doesn't scream, yes, this is a great example of what this area was, but it also, on the other hand, is probably fairly typical of the suburban development of this area.
But I think we even have to be careful in that because that's a statement about the building and they're not asking to take down the building. They're asking to take off little pieces of it. So, I mean, are we considering the merit of the whole building when we're not even being asked to take the whole building down? We're being asked to take the portico down and.
Yeah, and I think they both don't have, in my opinion, like the applicant was saying, serious architectural merit at all. I don't think the portico lends to the residential feeling even of the building at all. And I think the code compliance issue is just a cherry on top. They're great, but that's not for this.
Yeah.
That's
But
my ambivalence to it, it's kind of.
yeah, and I think the build, yeah, it's tricky because you look at it and it's almost a good imitation of something with architectural merits, but it's pretty clearly not, like the applicant was saying. There's a few oddities and you can even tell by the pictures that it's not serious or lasting construction techniques. But I would struggle a little bit outright denying the demolition of these things that just don't scream, preserve me.
The reason why I think, we need to be careful with buildings like this is that F in the design guidelines, keeping it residential and buildings that are residential in nature are converted to non-residential uses. The residential character, height scale, material entrances, windows, roof pitch should be presented at the street frontage. To me, yeah, it's not a great looking, architectural fabric. I get that. I mean, especially the faux shutters. I almost feel like it could be a partial denial, but allow some of the demo. And, for me, like using the code references, Chris, you tell me if I'm wrong, but I mean, this landing could be extended out this way. You could extend it out towards the street and have the ramp go this way so that you go in, you know, instead of coming in the sideway. There are ways around it being a code issue now. I mean, if you didn't need those steps, or you could rebuild those steps without,
Yeah, not
Yeah,
knowing the
make them
floor
good.
plan either, you know, could that other entrance be converted to an accessible entrance to not take away from that front streetscape?
But that's kind of reading into a proposal. now, isn't
Exactly,
it?
Yeah.
We're
yeah.
Just
It
talking
is.
about
The demo.
the merit of these things.
Agreed.
yeah, and well, I guess to me, there's not a big enough case to want to tear that portico down by just saying that it's not a nice looking portico. Because it does blend with the context of the surrounding area, and that's the residential nature of the Wapre Road. Yeah, I live a half mile from here.
If we didn't have the ordinance, as you said, had specific language in it, I would agree that, you know, we could but the language in the doo-wop overlay has very specific things that we're trying to preserve.
The
Yeah.
residential feeling, right?
Yeah,
And you think that that portico,
I think that it does help that feeling now, the things that the staff is agreeing to, I'm willing to support
Yeah,
those items. I
to
mean,
me, that exactly right. Andy, I think the shutters to me are, you know, that's clearly added after the fact. I know we don't have pictures showing the original look, but the faux shutters glued on, the panels at the garage doors, that's kind of a no-brainer. I would allow demolition of that, but that front porch to me is part of that house. I know it's not, you know, the greatest piece of architecture you've ever seen, but
it's not, I don't even think that's not the bar we're dealing with here. It's not even good. And I just don't,
but if it's original, well, we don't know if it's original or not.
even if it's, we're talking.
Yeah, I know.
1950s.
Yeah,
And it's not so much as, in my mind, why to demolish it, it's why should they not be, why should we prohibit the demolition of it? Because they're clearly trying to, we know they're gonna improve the building and all that stuff. So what is stopping?
the ordinance is what I would say is.
Yeah, but I just don't see that really, like that building minus that, is it really
Well, what-
affecting the residential character of the neighborhood?
What if it's the next building? I mean, we do have to be a little bit mindful of this.
Yeah, I mean, I see,
And if they were proposing putting the entire front facade storefront or something, that's something that's clearly not domestic looking.
well, and we'll have the ability, to review the improvements. And so we have the ability to control the aesthetic and the residential nature of it. I'm torn with this one. I mean, I see both sides, you know,
I do too. I mean, it's just, but
and I think they're not asking for a tremendous amount of demo, you know, obviously, I think we're all on the same page on the shutters, the panels in the garage. I think it's the portico and the stairs.
And the other thing is that side entrance that keeps getting dropped too, because
Oh,
the garage doors and that side entrance are not mentioned in staff comments, so we
Yeah.
should make sure we address both of those.
How do
Because
you
they're
feel about
separate
this?
components.
I think that side entrance is,
Yeah,
You don't care.
I wouldn't care.
Yeah.
I don't
agree.
care about the, yeah, I'm good with all that.
It's
Agreed. I
okay.
think it sounds like it's the portico and the stairs.
I'm
correct?
just saying, I want us to be clear since it wasn't in staff's
Yeah.
comment, that we adjust it to
Agreed,
include
Aaron, thank you.
clarity in both of those items.
And I
How does
also-
Aaron and Stephanie feel about the portico and the stairs?
I'm okay with them going away.
I,
Oh, no, the portico,
I
I'm
would
sorry, I
leave
thought you
it-
meant the side one.
the
I'm sorry,
front, I
I'm less
would-
okay
I
with the
would-
front.
the
Yeah,
front, I would
I'm-
leave and follow staff's recommendation for the front porch and portico.
yeah, I'm kind of torn on the front. The side one,
Same.
Side one, I'm fine, let it go.
I mean, I know staff didn't address it, but I think I'm with you all. I mean, I just,
It's hard to hear, and I think we all, or maybe this goes without saying, and I understand the need to address demolition separately from what's proposed new. Like, yes, especially if we're like doing a more significant demolition, that should be considered before we see what's going there. But something like this, where it really is just like a overall proposed improvement, you know, I'm using that word meaning just a change to it. It's really hard to think about the demolition without thinking about what is going
Yeah, I
there,
mean-
when it's not a true, in my mind, demolition.
Agreed,
it's
let's
just
just
amending
leave that
the
there. I
guide.
think we all agreed.
But how would you, if you agree to demolish, they don't have to come back and do
Right.
anything. You could demolish that front portico and it stays as a blank facade with a door with no on canopy over it. And I don't think we want to see that,
Yeah,
Wow.
agreed. Let's stop there.
right? I mean, that's the discussion.
Okay.
That's clearly the
Yeah,
discussion.
we have no, I mean. yeah,
We don't know
right now
what's,
that-
we
yeah,
don't know
that's-
what's coming. So this is based on,
I
Even
think
if they
we're-
tell us what's
Demolition.
coming, it may not come.
I
So
think
again,
we're spinning
Yeah.
at this
Yeah.
point.
all right, does anyone want to make a motion?
I will make a motion for staff's comments, number 1, 2, 3, with board comment to allow the demolition of the side entrance and the demolition of the slabs or whatever we want to call them on the garage doors.
Andy, I think on staff's comment number 1, you probably need to remove the windows around the door and the window sill, because that's part of staff's comment.
Okay, well,
So we did
that's
need to
fine. Remove
edit
the
those.
windows. The windowsills and the windows, is that correct?
Around the door.
Around the door.
Think, can I ask you a clarifying question?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, hold on a second. Let me make sure I have this motion correct. We have a second, but it reads, so staff comment number 1, striking the windowsills.
Windowsills and the windows.
Around the door.
So we're allowing those to be demolished?
Um,
well, it was,
It wasn't.
It was
answered
never
first.
part of the application, I guess.
Correct,
They made
Chris.
the application.
We're now removing the window sills, but the door itself, be windows around, because it's a residential door with 2 side windows.
Well, then that
Um,
needs to stay.
Oh, I see. I
There's a
misunderstood.
transom as well, right? Above the door.
Yeah, this is,
I misunderstood.
he's talking about these.
So those are being proposed to be removed. Oh, I thought in your
Yeah.
presentation, you said no
No
windows were being
windows.
proposed to be removed. That's where I misunderstood.
So only.
Wait,
the
let's
windows
take a
will be-
break. Let's, can you pull that motion, what we discussed?
yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, I said windows around the door.
Okay.
but we were not.
I got confused because he said no windows were being
Right.
removed,
Okay.
but they are. It's just not the windows. we were-
So it's just the window sill that should be striped.
Correct.
It's just the window, so, okay, so
Okay.
I will make a motion.
Thank you.
To partially deny the demo. With staff comment number 1, striking the windowsills.
Mhm.
Per the applicant's presentation,
Mhm.
allowing number 2 and number 3. With board comments to allow the demolition of the side entrance. And the garage slab.
Slides. Yeah.
Wait, the garage slab.
Garage.
Oh, okay. I thought you said slab. I was like, wait, that's a
Slab door.
I second the
We
motion.
have a motion for partial denial of the demo request with staff comments 1, 2, and 3. On staff comment 1, striking windowsills from that item. And then board comment to allow the demo on the side entrance as proposed, along with the slats at the garage.
Yes, I second.
Thank you, Stephanie. Any further discussion?
I guess, I don't know. I don't know how to ask a question. on
Any further discussion?
I'm having a hard time, and I know we all are, but it really affects how I want to vote on this. By saying that we're denying them potential to demolish that front portico and stairs. If they,
And the windows around the door. We can't do that.
yeah, but I'm focused right now on the porticos and the stairs. I'm having a hard time separating like demolish from improve, I guess, because with this, like clearly it would have to be replaced with something because the door doesn't work without some landing there, right? And so if we're denying their ability to demolish it, does that mean? Regardless of, I don't know, I can't separate that from what's being proposed.
almost
I'm
like that.
I'm having a really hard time with that because there are things that could be done to make that better that wouldn't take away from the residential character. But I know we don't know what those things are, but it's, you can't demolish it without, I don't know, I can't think of this just as a straight demolition. It's really.
We have to.
Yeah, and I guess that from my point of view, we're allowing them to modify the second entrance.
But could they potentially modify the portico and it not be considered a demolition?
That's a staff interpretation.
That's,
I
yeah,
would think anything you have to do to change the portico would require demolition of the existing.
and that's that's a better way to phrase my question. Yeah, like, could a modification be allowed? Or it's technically considered a demolition, even though it's just that.
Not necessarily, you could leave everything there and build a landing outside of the step.
Right.
Yeah.
And meet ADA.
Adding on to it, I don't think there's anything
That wouldn't
that would
constitute.
prevent them from that.
Now, we would have to review that as to how that's executed.
We could review any potential thing that they may do.
All right, is we ready to any other discussion? All right, I'll call roll. Stephanie,
I've seconded.
second. Yes, thank you. Aaron,
I mean, I don't know how to vote because I don't feel like I understand what my vote means in this. Yeah, can I abstain?
I've abstained.
Lucas,
No.
Ben.
Yes, in favor.
So that puts us at 1, 2, 3 to 1. Okay, I will abstain as well, and 3 to 1 motion carries. Next on the agenda is the renovation review for item number 2 for the same property. Typically, we don't hear the review if there's been a partial denial or denial of any kind. Do we want to review any of the aesthetics as a courtesy review, or?
That's up to you. I mean, can't take an action.
It would be no vote, correct?
Is anything in there that we need to
We
review?
need to redesign. I would make a motion that we do not hear in a second.
Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you. Call roll, Aaron,
Yes, in favor.
Lucas,
Yes, in favor.
Ben,
Yes, in favor.
also yes in favor. And that includes, we have, the minutes have been deferred. Okay, I apologize for missing that in the initial introduction. So that concludes our meeting.
You turned off the live streaming? Okay.
So let them get this mics.
Stephanie, did you go to the city and county conference? I didn't see you there.
No, I just didn't have time. Actually, I had a friend who turned 50, so I was in Spartanburg.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, so I didn't make it this year. It's the ICE or the SSSMA.
What you think?
It
I
is
know.
long, it's a long, city and county management.
It's the South Carolina City County Management Association.
I can see my bald spot. I don't know.